Alright guys, well, I'm back today with a very impressive competition 9mm handgun that you might not have heard of. This is imported by EAA and it's actually the Girsan MC9 Match TV, and it comes with the red dot mounted in the box. This thing is completely set up for competitive and range shooting, but has a lot of nice features, making it able to double as a personal defense handgun. Definitely not concealed carry, but maybe car defense or home defense, and again, a general use range gun on top of its obvious niche as a competitive pistol. We're going to dig into the specs and features of this handgun, talk about its performance down at the range, and this is a first shots and overview video of this handgun. So I stumbled upon a lot of EAA's firearms that they're importing when I tried out the Regard MC. So I picked one of these up from a pawn shop, and it was used but in like new condition. I've been noticing them floating around the internet for a while, got to hold a couple in person, and they feel very similar to a Beretta, but at about half the price with a ton of features and upgrades, including the tactical threaded barrel models, which I hope to try soon. But that really led me to the importer EAA, and I started going through a lot of the different versions. When I noticed they were importing the Girsan pistols, I've had a lot of luck with them in the past, and in fact, I tried out the basic MC9 that American Pawn and Gun sent out to the channel in the past, and I really loved that handgun. No issues whatsoever, great affordable price point. So when I saw they had the match version of that handgun, and then when I saw the MSRP, I actually put in the request to T&E this gun, and then EAA was nice enough to send this one out to the channel for us to try, and I am glad they did. So that is kind of the backstory of how I discovered this handgun, and this is a rather new one to the market, specifically set up for competitive shooting. Right off the bat, you'll see it's got an extended slide with cuts, an optic that comes mounted to the gun in the box, extended controls in every aspect, and then a flared magwell, as well as a 17-round magazine that's included in the box. Now, what you get in the box itself, again, is the handgun with the red dot already mounted. Only one magazine, and that's my really first complaint about the gun, and I only have two. I really wish they would include at least two magazines, especially when you realize how fun this thing is to do like competitive and tactical reloads. You just absolutely want to get a second bang. Now, the cool thing is they have them available on EAA's website. They come in at $40 a piece, which is a steep price, but if you buy two, they have a coupon code on the link itself that you can get them for $25 a piece. So I'll be grabbing some more from them at $25 a mag. They're made by Metgar. That's actually a really good deal when you consider what other magazines are selling for. That's a good price, but you do have to buy two of them to get that price. You also get, you know, your basic gun lock, a few other back straps, which are interchangeable, and the tool to swap them out. I kind of like the back strap that came on the gun itself, but again, you have different options, which is great, especially for competitive shooters. You really get up specifically for your hands, so it points naturally to really hit those shots. And then it comes with a second trigger shoe, which is really easy to swap out. On the handgun itself, it's got a threaded screw, a spot for this threaded pin right here that you can swap out this trigger shoe to a more flat face trigger if you prefer that. Again, I kind of like the way the one feels that it comes with, but both of these are great options and you can set them up specifically for what you get. So that's what's included in the box itself. It also comes with an instruction manual on the red dot, and we'll talk about that in a later part of this review, more specifically about the red dot that it comes with. One thing to note, though, there is no rear sight on this handgun. So if you remove this optic, you'll have to replace it with an optic. Again, this is a dedicated, really competition handgun. And I will talk about that optics footprint, but I believe it's the RMSC, the compact RMR style optics mount. So that can be swapped out with any of those optics if you decide you want to do that later on. But when you do, you'll just want to know it doesn't come with the rear sight. The rear sight is actually integrated as a fiber optic sight with the optic itself in the back. So you do have sights if the optic goes down, and they work really nicely. But that is something to consider when buying this handgun. So we talked about what's all included in the box. But we haven't talked about the price. And this is a lot. Even though I complained about the magazines, the features on this thing are just jam-packed in. And the MSRP is right around $590. So I did some digging, and the street price on this guy is right at about $499. Yeah, that's right. $499 street price for a competition pistol with this many features. That's going to be really hard to beat if this runs. And that's what the first thing I want to discuss when it comes to the performance section is reliability, and it was 100% functional, no issues whatsoever. We started the testing by running some Callaway Ballistics Ammo. They sent over some of their 9mm reman, and I actually have a code with these guys, 704 Tactical, to get free shipping on ammo orders over $200, so you definitely want to check them out. You can get reman 9mm brass case, a box of 50 for as low as $15.49. They also have boxes of hollow points like this starting at $22 for a box of 50. A great company, and it was 100% functional with all of the Callaway Ballistics Ammo I shot through it, probably close to 100 rounds. Then, American Pawn & Gun, located in Monroe, North Carolina, was nice enough to donate a bunch of Tola steel-cased ammo to the channel for different testings. So I ran about 150 rounds of Tola steel-cased ammo through this gun, and it ran 100%. So that's 250 rounds right out of the gate with no issues whatsoever. Then I just kept shooting it because I loved it so much in a few other videos where I ran some hollow points, frangible ammunition, also that American Pawn & Gun in Monroe, North Carolina sent over to the channel. You'll definitely want to check out those videos, but I started shooting those in here and it worked fine. So a ton of different bullet profiles, brass cased, reloads, remans, and steel cased ammo. No issues whatsoever. So 100% function, that's what you want to see out of a competition handgun. You really want it to be picky with your ammo. So let's talk about the specs and features, kind of starting with the grip module and moving to the slide. And the first thing you'll notice is it has an incredibly nice flared magwell. This is such a great option, and it works out so incredibly well. It's a seamless transition between the magwell of the gun itself and the enhanced magwell that's included, and you can just absolutely just slam these in, and it's ultra forgiving. One of the smoothest reloading handguns I've shot, especially from the factory, in a long time. That's what makes me so mad about only having one mag. I had to do all my reloads as empty chamber drills and then throw the mag in, chamber around, and go from there. But guys, it works out great. Transitioning to the grip, it's insanely ergonomic with cuts out for your thumb on either side because it's kind of set up for ambidextrous shooters. It also has interchangeable backstraps, and the texturing is very aggressive but not overly aggressive. Again, kind of the perfect hybrid. Your hand wraps in nicely, and it's got a slight undercut in the trigger guard to get yourself the perfect grip on the gun. At this point, you have easy access to all three of the main controls that you're going to be using on this handgun. You have a very easy to use safety on the back that's incredibly easy to sweep off and put on, especially if the competition requires safety to be engaged at the beginning. This is really easy to just kind of sweep right off and ride over top. Again, it's also ambidextrous on both sides. Now, the magazine release on this model is enhanced and extended, but not overly enhanced. This makes it super easy to just drop mags and reload. So the mag release in conjunction with the flare and magwell makes this thing absolutely perfect. You can see it just shoots them out. Even when it's sideways, this thing works insanely well. Again, one of the most impressive reloading handguns I've ever shot. And we are talking, again, remember guys, about a $499 handgun. Moving along, the slide lock is really easy to use. Once you engage the slide lock, it almost sticks out a little bit more when it's disengaged. So when you drop it, it's actually really easy to just reach up here, grab, and drop it down. Now, the takedown lever may look a little bit weird. On this one, it actually sticks out really far. It's got sharp edges, and it is incredibly annoying. It is probably one of the worst features of the gun because it gets in your way. It had a shelf that kind of stuck out to where you're supposed to put your finger in, but instead of the shelf being something that you could press down on the gun, the shelf was something where you like pushed forward and it slipped off every time, leaving your thumb to go right into the trigger guard, which was insanely frustrating. When you rode your thumb on top of the slide release, it just dug into your thumb and left me with blisters, and that was insane. insanely frustrating. So I popped it off, I put it in a mill, I flattened it off, I ground the edges down and re-blued it, and now I have a flush fitting takedown lever. Obviously, it's going to be hard for you guys to do that, but it's definitely possible with a Dremel and about 30 minutes of effort. You might void the warranty, but I did actually contact them about this and say, hey, that's insanely frustrating, and that's my only complaint about the gun. Can it be swapped out with the basic MC9 takedown lever? And they said yes, and I believe you can get the parts from them. So you may want to contact them if you hate your takedown lever, but a quick Dremel tool in 30 minutes and you'll resolve that issue fine. And guys, mine feels really comfortable after that. My thumb can just ride right beside it. There's no sharp edges anymore. It doesn't dig in, but once you knock those sharp edges down, you'll be good to go. I should have done it before and after, but I ran about 250 rounds with the basic one in there. Did the adjustments myself, and then ran about 20-30 rounds just to confirm it smoothed everything out, and it did. So up front, it's got a flat face on the front of the mat or the trigger guard itself. I don't use that, but you could wrap your finger around it. Has a pick rail up top. Now I want to transition to the slide itself. So it has some lightning cuts, a really long sight radius, a longer barrel for quick competitive shooting. And then one of the main things I really want to talk about are some of the optics cuts. But before we do, it also has a sight window right here so you can see if a round is chambered. It's got a really large extractor, just like the MC9, to throw those spent shell casings out. Slide serrations on the front and back, which makes it really nice for press checks. It also has a striker indicator on the back. Let me make sure it's clear 1,000 more times so you can tell if the striker has been released or not. And that's about it for the specs and features of the slide. Now, the optic itself actually works out incredibly nicely. So it's got the fiber optic sights in the back. It's got a really crisp and clear dot, a really nice viewing window, and the adjustments were really easy. It wasn't sighted in out of the box. Took though a couple of shots and I got it all sighted in, and it works out great because you can absolutely co-witness the dot with the iron sights itself. So that makes it easy to actually bore sight. You can just sight in the red dot for the co-witness of the iron sights, and then you'll be good to go when you get down to the range. And I do want to show you guys some more information about the red dot. So this is like automatically on and automatically off, so you don't have to worry about fumbling with buttons, which is perfect. It comes with a little shaded hood because it's adjusts to the auto brightness of the light around you. So you can actually put this hood on to dim it really down while you're storing it to save your battery life. And it talks about all the battery life inside here, and it explains everything about your optic. There's two different versions. This one is going to be the red version, and it's going to use the RMSC/RMS footprint. So all the optics that use that same footprint, you're going to be able to swap that out. This one has a 500 to 20,000 hour battery life, and then you can swap out that battery pretty easily. But what I've noticed is when on a bright sunny day, this thing is going to burn really bright. So that's when you're going to start talking about those 500 hours. But when you store it, you can put this on and you can get the 20,000 hour battery life. So in reality, you're going to get a mix between these two, depending on how much you're shooting this in the sun. But overall, it's an incredibly nice optic, really competing with other optics I've seen in this category. In fact, really reminds me of some of the Rytons and stuff, maybe with some more enhanced features. And those generally sell for like $100, $150. So when you consider the price of this handgun and you have the specs and features of $150 red dot included, again, for about $499, you can see the value is just so good in this handgun. Again, in summary, I love everything about it except for two things. More magazines, more magazines. Now, maybe that'll cause the price to increase and they really wanted to keep it at that $590 price point. And I get that. I mean, it's whatever they decide. You can buy 2 more mags for $50, and I would absolutely recommend you do that, especially if you're actually using this for competition. And then the takedown lever. The takedown lever needed the rough edges to be smoothed out. There's no way I can sugarcoat it. It was one of the crappiest ones I felt, and it was actually an enhanced one. I just feel like they missed the mark on that, but it was really fixable with a Dremel tool, or again, you can actually swap it out with the basic MC9 takedown lever, and they were looking into how they're doing it. If I get any more information, I'll leave that in the description below. But guys, honestly, when you think about what you get in the box, these things should be flying off the shelves. I can highly recommend it. It's really easy to shoot, really light recoil, incredibly accurate, quick follow-up shots. Oh, and I completely forgot to tell you guys about the trigger. Let me do that real quick. It's got a smooth take-up. It hits a defined wall, and you get a crisp break, which is nice for a striker-fired gun. The reset is a little bit longer than some, but not too bad. Then you hear that click. It's audible and tactile. Then you have a smooth take-up. You hit the wall again, and then you have a crisp break. So you can absolutely rattle off shots with this handgun, no problem. Again, I highly recommend it. Definitely check it out. If you see it in stores or online, it's definitely worth considering for a great high value and budget competition pistol with a red dot included. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one.